In this video series, you're going to learn how you can make money blogging. Now, before we get into the exact methods, I want to talk about what you must have to make a successful blogging business. First of all, you're going to need a good layout. A layout that is easy for people to get around on and find what you're trying to show them. You need good content that is constantly updated. That's self-explanatory. People will come to your blog if they feel that you have decent content that they want to read. Have a decent amount of traffic. And that goes without saying. If you get a decent amount of traffic, you will make some money. If you don't get any traffic, of course, you're not going to. And we're going to go over traffic methods in this video series. And the other thing you need is a good monetization strategy. There are a couple things that you can do on a blog to make a decent amount of money without having to work too hard at it. Okay, so those are the things we need to talk about in this video series. Okay, the first thing we're going to need to do is install our blog. And the system we're going to use for blogging is WordPress. The reason we're going to use WordPress is that it has so many things that people have created for you that you can use that it makes your job easier, and they're called plugins. And what will happen is we'll be able to make our blog search engine friendly as well as semi-automate the process of bringing in content. So you should have a niche in mind already. It doesn't matter what niche you're going to target. It should be something that you know something about or are passionate about. That always helps when you're trying to write your own articles. The other thing you can do is find out what's popular just by doing a search on the Google keyword tool for some ideas and see what kind of search traffic you're getting. We're not going to go too much into niche research. We're going to go into the mechanics of creating a blog that will get good traffic and make you good money no matter what niche you target. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is go to wordpress.org and download the newest version of WordPress. So just click on download WordPress and then download the most current version. At this time it's 2.85, but it doesn't really matter what version you're using. So just go ahead and download it. Just click here and download it to your computer. Okay, once you have it downloaded, what you want to do is you want to unzip the files in the WordPress zip folder here. So all you have to do is click on it and use the built-in unzip tool in Windows, or what you can do is you can download a free one called 7-Zip. Just do a search on 7-Zip and you can download it. And then if you right click, you can go here's 7-Zip and extract files. So you can use either one. Then we'll just click OK and that'll extract all the files for us. We now have an extracted directory. In there we have the WordPress directory, and within there we have all the WordPress files. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to upload all that to our server. Now of course you're going to need a domain name and hosting. There are many places where you can get domain names and hosting, and I've listed some in the resources document. Now once you have that all set up, you can upload your files. Now depending on what kind of domain name you bought, whether you bought a domain name with a specific use for your niche or whether you bought what I call a general purpose domain name, will depend on where you're going to upload WordPress. Now what I mean by those are a general purpose domain name is a domain name that you can use in any niche. It might be something like .bestinfoon.com, and then what you can do is in folders put your niche. So we have .bestinfoon.com and then slash, and if we're going to do dog training, we do /dog training. So you can put as many blogs as you want on one domain name if you do it that way. Now the other thing you can do is buy a specific domain name for your niche. So if we were doing dog training, we might have dogtraining.com. Now you're not likely to find that one, but you get the idea. You find one that fits in your niche. I'm going to use a general purpose domain name for our purposes here. Now in order to do this, you're going to need to download an FTP client if you don't already have one. And there's one called FileZilla that you can download for free. And you can use that to upload your files to your server. And this is what FileZilla looks like. On your left side, you could navigate to the file you want to upload or the folder. And on your right side is going to be where your server is. Now what you can do is you can just take the information that your hosting provider gave you to sign into your server. So you have your host, which is going to be your domain name, and then they will have assigned you a username and password for FTP or for your cPanel, and you can just put those in here and click Quick Connect, and it'll connect up for you. It also has a site manager. If you click File and Site Manager, it brings up the site manager, and in here you can store all your domain names. Just click on New Site and then fill out what you want in here. Okay, so I'm going to connect to my domain here. And then I need to go to the directory where my web documents have to preside. Your hosting provider will tell you this, and on this particular hosting provider it has to be in public_HTML. It may be htdocs or something else. It might be in the root directory. Your hosting provider is going to tell you that. So we'll go in here, just double click, and then we're going to create a directory. So if I right click here and create a directory, and then I'm going to call it what my niche is going to be. And in this case I'm going to do one on making candy. So making candy. So what I want to do is make sure that I have my main niche name within my domain. That's very important. So if your niche is making candy like mine is, that's what you need to have in your domain. If it was dog training, that's what you need to have in your domain somewhere. So that's what we're doing here. Using making candy. We'll click on that, and then we'll find our making candy directory in here. Double click on that. And then we can upload our WordPress files. So we go inside here, inside the WordPress directory, and then we have to select all these files. So all you have to do is click Control and then hold that down and then click the A button, and it will select everything. And now we right click our mouse and click Upload. And that'll upload all the WordPress files for us. Now this is going to take a few minutes because there are a number of files there. Okay, so now our queue is empty and everything is uploaded. Now all we have to do is put the URL to our blog in our browser and hit the Enter key, and that'll bring up the install wizard. So in this case it is thebestinfoon.info, which is my domain name, /making candy. So let's go key that in. Okay, and here it is here. So what we do, it tells us we need to create a configuration file. Now it'll try and do this for us, but as you see, it can't write to the directory. So what we have to do is temporarily change the permission of our directory. So let's go back. And then let's go back to our FTP client here. And then what we want to do is make our making candy directory writable temporarily. So let's go back to the directory before it. Find making candy. And right click, do a file attributes, and then we need to make this 777, which is all the boxes clicked. Click OK, and now we can go back and create a configuration file. Okay, here it tells us we're going to need a database, and what we need to do is go and create one. And this isn't as difficult as it sounds. All we have to do is go to our cPanel or to whatever tool your host gives you that allows you to do that. So we'll sign into the cPanel here, and then we'll go create a database. So just go to MySQL databases in cPanel, and then we just create a database. So just as you can see, there's a bunch of them in here already, but we'll just call this Candy. Click Create Database. We'll go back. Now we have to create a username and password to access a database. So we'll call this Candy again, and then give a password here you can remember. We'll just go with password. And then we create our username. Just click here, and then go back. And then you have to attach the username to the password, and to do that you just pick them out of the drop-down list here. So they happen to be sitting right on the top here. Now you'll notice that there are some characters appended to the front here on both the database and the username, and that's just to identify it as belonging to this particular hosting account. So just add user to database after you've picked them both. Make sure all privileges are checked, and add user to database. Okay, your database is now ready to go. So all we have to do now, go back to WordPress and let's continue here. We just put our database name, username, and password in here. So we go back here. Our database name and username are the same here. This is our database name. We'll copy that whole string. This is our username. They happen to be the same, so we can just put them both in here. Database name, username. Password goes in here. And then localhost, that's the name of our host, and that's usually going to be right the way it is. If you just roll down here, you'll see that we have access host as localhost, so that's correct. 99% of the time that's correct. And then a table prefix, we can leave that as it is unless you're going to install multiple WordPress blogs in one database. If you're going to do that, you're going to need to change that for any blogs that you create after the first one. The first one can be WP, but if you're going to create more after that, you're going to have to change these characters at the front. Okay, and then we'll run the install. Okay, here we can give it a preliminary title. Okay, so here I put Making Candy the Fun and Easy Way. Notice that I have my main niche in the title. So make sure you do that as well. So you have it in your title, you have it in your domain name or in your subdomain name, and then you put your email in here. And make sure you got to allow my blog to appear in search engines. You're going to want that, and then click Install WordPress. Okay, here it gives you your username, and here is a temporary password. Make sure you copy that so you can sign in, and then you can change it after you log in the first time. So we'll click it, log in, then we'll click admin, and we'll put our password in here and log in. That password was also emailed to the email address that you entered there. That way, if you forgot to copy it down, at least it'll email it to you. Now what you want to do is change your password. It's warning you about that. So we'll just go and we'll give it a new password down here and update our profile. Okay, and it is now changed and our blog is installed. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to go change the permission back on our folder here. So Making Candy was our directory. Let's change that back to 755. 755. Click OK. That'll protect our directory, make sure nobody can get in there and mess around. Okay, so now our blog is installed. All we have to do now is start adding the plugins and theme that we need. We'll do that in the next video.